Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel, and this is my place where I talk to you about really everything that's going on in my garden. This is going to be an allotment tour for the month of April. It's getting really late in April, actually. I normally try and do a tour a little bit earlier. But it is what it is, and we are where we are. So today we're doing an allotment tour, and for those of you who might not have been here before, my allotment is what I call the vegetable garden in my house. So in my house I have separated my garden into two distinct sections. Behind me is the garden, and this is the allotment. And to be honest, the majority of my time and my interest in gardening is in this space and not so much that space. In this video, we are going to have to go back in time a little bit because I actually started to record this video yesterday, and I got halfway through doing the allotment tour and the battery died on my camera, and I thought that I'd lost the whole thing and I was going to start again. But when I was editing, I realised that my camera had kindly saved what I had recorded prior to switching off. So I've got about half the allotment tour from yesterday, and today I'm going to record the rest of the tour. You will notice, will you notice? You might not notice. We'll see. When I was looking back at the footage of the things that I recorded yesterday, I was doing potting on my tomatoes, and I was doing an allotment tour, and it was just getting into, didn't even finish the tour, just getting into a really long video. So I have actually split them into two. So there is a video that should have gone out before this one, which is just catching up on some jobs in the garden and particularly potting on tomatoes. And then this video will be exclusively the allotment tour. Because I'm recording this intro after having recorded the first half of the tour, though, we are going to come across some things where there have already, in less than 24 hours, been some changes, because that's gardening. But I've just come back from the garden centre. So I am now, if you've watched my potting on tomatoes video, the proud owner of some multi-purpose compost, so I can finish that job. I got wildly carried away by all of the exciting garden centre things. So I've got a ton of plants over there that I'm going to spend the rest of this afternoon, after I finish recording the tour, finding places to put. And I've also promised my houseplants that I will start potting those up. But honestly, I'm either not going to record that, or I'm not going to record that for today's video. So you might want to look out for that at a future point. Because yeah, there's loads going on in the garden right now, but we mustn't forget to look after our houseplants, who are also enjoying the new season. So, all of that said, I think it's time that we continue with the tour. There might be some overlap, so you're going to go immediately now and rewind to yesterday and start the tour with me then. It was a very different day of weather. Today it's glorious. Yesterday not so much. And then I am going to pick up with you today where we got to. I think I was talking about lettuce, and I don't think I'd started talking about garlic. So I'm going to double check the footage to find out where I need to pick up from, and I will meet you there in a short while. Bye for now. We are joined on the April allotment tour by the cat, or one of the cats. He has a lot to say for himself today. We've done the mini greenhouse, so I'm going to step out of the shed door and look to my left, which is where we've got the tomatoes that we've just planted up together. Got the oregano, which is doing pretty good in this pot. And then as we go around the allotment today, you are going to find piles of dead or dying weeds. This is because I tend to weed situationally, and one of the ways that you can make weeds compostable, because we've spoken before about how people are always really terrified about composting weeds. You just let them dry out for a bit first, essentially die, and then they're at less risk of coming back to life again in your compost bin. All of my neighbours are out and about, so I'm feeling a bit vulnerable talking to you out loud, so forgive me if I'm whispering. There's been quite a few changes in the garden since last month. I've added some extra plants, as you'll see as we go around. So this is a catmint. This is a variety called Walker's Low. So it's a nice bush variety. Some of you may remember that I tried twice last year to get a catmint, but the plant was quite small and my cats destroyed it before the poor thing had time to establish. Cats seem less interested in this one. This bed is absolutely full of self-seeded poppy, which I am trying to get rid of. Oh no, I lie. The cat is now eating the catmint, so this may be the last time you see that catmint in my garden. I've got a plum tree, which is growing some plums. This is the first year I've had this tree in the ground, so I don't know how big a harvest it will be, or whether it will need a bit more time to establish. Probably needs mulching. Under here, I'm going to get rid of. I'm trying to get rid of as many of these poppies as possible. Otherwise, they're just going to choke out my whole garden. I'll come along at some point with the hoe. The hoe's not going to do the big ones. These sweet little pansies are looking nice. Disappointingly, none of the daffodils actually flowered, and I strongly suspect it's because I planted them too late. But we'll see. My little thyme down here that I always forget about is actually really starting to look like it's happy and healthy. It's one of the only plants in the garden that naturally enjoys this like such dry sandy soil. My blackcurrant has fruit on it this year. I got no fruit off this last year, but actually it looks like it's going to be abundant. That is exciting. The strawberries are looking really strong this year, and again, there is already fruit forming. I have recently weeded this bed a bit. Like, I'm not going to go too mad. I haven't just had a personality transplant and suddenly decided I love weeding. But I have had a bit of a weed, and I've also mulched this bed with well-rotted manure, so give them a bit of a boost. I'm going to leave this foxglove because it's a volunteer, and whenever I try and grow them on purpose, they never, ever, ever grow. The rhubarb is looking a bit sad. It was much better than this last year. And yes, it's really weedy. But again, I've mulched it, I've watered it. I just don't think this is the right place for it, because it gets really dry and those big trees suck up all of the nutrients here. So yeah, I might start picking some of this and see if it helps encourage it. And if it doesn't do well this year, I'm going to dig it up and I will put it in one of the big pots. I'm over there. The lemon balm is starting to do really well. It smells amazing. Wild garlic is going over for the year. Hopefully this little patch just gets bigger and bigger. The cherry tree. It's the second year of the cherry tree, and it's got way more fruit on it than last year. Just have to hope that I get it before any of the birds. The bed that I affectionately refer to as the pig pen is just turning into the compost heap. So this is how I fill up the beds. Just all of the garden waste goes in here. And eventually it will get full enough that I will top it off with topsoil. And this is probably where tomatoes are going to grow this year, because this is the sunniest spot in the garden. And I will also empty the compost bin into it at some point. But I haven't done that yet. Okay, onto the beds. Garlic chives are looking really good. They could probably do with a bit of a cutback, actually. This bed needs some weeding. We've got raspberry canes. Look at that growth. That's exciting. Looking really good. This bed is a bit of a mishmash of all of the things that were left over at the end of last year. So I've got kales. I did have a cabbage, but Peanut ate it. That is devastating, because that was going to be my dinner next week. Spring onions, chard, perennial Welsh onions, and herbs. Look at the tarragon. I'm so happy with this. Some of this can get picked soon and then dried. Golden sage and the marjoram. Now, the marjoram is doing way better than the oregano. And I think it's probably because it's out in the wild and not so constrained by a pot. So I might put the oregano out at some point. Another recent change is the lavender bed. Now, disappointingly, I picked up 3 lavenders and clearly didn't look at one of them properly because it's completely dead. And I noticed only when I got it home that it was nowhere near as healthy a plant as the other 2. But I'm hoping this was just a big grassy border. In fact, I took some footage, which I'll put at the end of this video, of me digging out the grass that was here and putting in these lavenders. The pond is doing really well, but the weather right now means that I'm having to top it up quite regularly. Hi, cat. This is Radar Cat. You having a nice time, Radar? I've got to talk to the people about gardening, so I can't hang out with you right now. No, I can't hang out with you right now. We're doing a tour. We're doing a tour of the allotment. You gotta wait. Okay. Ooh. This is a great big mess. And we've looked at these potatoes that don't seem to be doing anything. These were Maris Piper. No idea what's happening there. Actually, it's Maris Piper over there that haven't done anything either. It's the ones that I've just topped up is the first early variety. Can't remember what that was. Garlic. Oh, there's another giant poppy in there. And some volunteer broad beans. And some weeds. The garlic is looking really healthy and strong. The lettuce. Oh my goodness, there's more lettuce here than I can ever possibly eat. I'm starting to give lettuce away to people. And when I use these as cutter come again varieties, but I am in danger of these being over and done with before the next lot of lettuces are ready to take over from them. So I might end up having a bit of a gap with lettuce. But okay, so that was as far as we got through the tour yesterday. And you are now with next day Rachel in the glorious sunshine, and we're going to finish off the tour. I'm going to start from moving on from the lettuce and the garlic, and we're going to move over into the middle bed. So I shall see you in just a second. So we finished with the lettuces and we're moving over here into the middle bed, which I designated the cut flower bed. In here, it's a terrible place to stand because all you get is my shadow. Let's start over here. So I designated this the cut flower bed this year, and it's not doing too badly on that score. We've got last year's Snapdragon. I'm still yet to find out whether a Snapdragon's a biannual or if this thing is just some kind of natural miracle. I've got a volunteer poppy, which is mixed in with the perpetual spinach that, to be honest, looks like it might have bolted, and I don't know what you do with perpetual spinach that's bolted. I scatter sowed some verbena in this bed, and it looks like it's really taken hold really well. Always wanted verbena in my garden. It's just like the epitome of the cottage garden style. Whenever I've tried to grow it before, it's done absolutely nothing. And then when I just gave up and threw a load of seed into the bed, it's really taken over, and I'm probably going to be completely inundated with it. Look, there's more popping up there. There's more popping up there. It's gone wild. There are still also some weeds in here, which I'm slowly getting rid of. But I'm trying to figure out what's weed and what's calendula, because I'm pretty sure that is a calendula, and this might be, yeah, these are calendula, I think. So I'm just waiting for them to get a bit bigger and a bit more identifiable. Since the last time I saw you, I've planted out sweet peas in here. I need to get some string or some mesh on there so that they've got something to hold on to and climb up. And I might put out a few more. I've planted out another Snapdragon. That's the only survivor from the Snapdragons that I sowed before Christmas that got killed when the mini greenhouse fell over. And I have one Icelandic poppy left from the same time. I've got a new sage. This is a tri-variegated sage that my mum got me from the garden centre. And then I've got a bronze fennel, which I bought from a plant fair recently. And that's gone in there. And then more lettuces. So yes, not doing too badly. And then finally in this bed, I've started to plant out some more sweet peas, and I've given them some string to climb up in the first instance, but I do now have some chicken wire. So I'm going to wrap chicken wire around the archway, and they're the sweet peas that I haven't had a home yet. This bed, sun's back. Still just a mishmash of things left over from last year, and starting to think about planting in here for this year. So there's a lot of weeds. You've probably heard me say before, I don't tend to weed, or I try not to weed until I've got something to put in its place. Because if you weed and then don't replace it with anything, more weeds just grow and you end up non-stop. So there are a lot of weeds in here, but I've also got some rocket, some red sorrel, some more rocket, some more volunteer poppies. They're all over the garden. I don't mind them, but I take them out of the places where I don't need them. And then at the other end here, a bit more intentional planting. I got some celery I just picked up in a garden centre several weeks ago. I got one cabbage from last year. The winter savoury is starting to do very well. That's my giant mummy monstera that needs repotting, and the moss pole has fallen over, so it's actually fine. Picking up, and that will be sorted out later on this afternoon. It's going to fall over the other way, and that's why this one needs to be repotted. This winter savoury is starting to look really happy and healthy. I might cut some of that back and start to dry it. as is this time. That's just a regular time, a common time. That's starting to look very happy. I got myself a new regular sage for this gap here. I'm trying to make this a herb garden, but it's really just constantly being overtaken by weeds. So this regular sage I intentionally bought and put here because it should grow quite big and therefore provide some weed suppression. Most exciting in here is that my grapevine did in fact not die. It has flourished back. The downside to this is I needed to create a new leading edge because there was quite a bit of frost damage and I did cut off the leading edge of the vine there. And now I don't know how it's going to get bigger. But I have every faith that it is going to figure it out. I did a massive weed in here. The whole of this area was just dandelions. This one. Dozens and dozens and dozens of them. Like here. This is my purple sage that is finally starting to look a bit healthy. The soil quality in here is not great, so just need to keep an eye on that. And there's another thyme. So yeah, perennial thyme, perennial herbs are doing really well in this garden right now. And then continuing on the herb mission, I've repotted both mints. So that's a strawberry mint and that's an apple mint. Put those into bigger pots this year and they're looking really healthy. These are all of the new acquisitions from today. I've got these bedding plants worth 5 pots for £15. So I've got 3 lots of marigolds, which I'm going to plant as companion plants around the edges of the beds. And I've got 2, I don't actually know what they are, they just look pretty. So that one is a gazania, never heard of it. And this one is a I'm not even going to try and say that without lots of time to practice. They look like kind of daisy type things. And my intention for these is much like over there, where I've taken the grass out of the edge of the membrane, weed suppressing membrane is reached its limit, but I've still got a gap and there's grass coming through it. You can see it on the middle bed there. I'm going to recreate where I've put lavender there. I'm going to create little borders of hopefully interest and beauty around the edges of some of the other ones. That one doesn't need it. The other end of both of those really do, because every time I weed, more weeds grow back because I'm not putting anything in its place. And so I'm going to put some of these there instead. What else did I get? I've done a lot of plant shopping recently. I've got 3 aubergine from the garden centre today. This is a variety called Patio Baby, which I have 2 of. And then as I walked around a different part of the garden centre, I found a different one. This one is Scorpio and it is a grafted aubergine. So I thought it would be interesting to compare and contrast the success of one that's obviously been grown from seed versus one that's been grafted. And I don't know if you agree with me. You may not agree with me. It's very much my opinion that if you're at the garden centre and you have already put plants in your basket, then they now belong to you and you cannot put them back. So because I had 2 aubergine in my basket before I found the third one, I had to have 3 aubergine instead of putting one of the other ones back. And that is just the rules. The garden centre had their chilies out already, so I've got 2 jalapenos. I want to grow these really big. I'm going to put these in the biggest pots possible, or plant them straight out into the pig pen, because I love jalapenos and I want loads of them. And then I got some nasturtium because I haven't ordered any more nasturtium seed, but none of the nasturtium that I scattered into this bed has taken, and they are a really good companion plant. They really, really well at distracting insects away from eating plants, like the plants I'm growing for food that I want to eat. And it's just, I actually just think that a vegetable garden without nasturtiums is just a sad place. So, as my attempts to grow from seed have failed, I bought some. I think the tray was £2. So they are the purchases of today. There's a couple more things to show. I bought a hosta. In fact, I bought several hosta. I bought 2 from the plant fair. One of them is already potted up and is outside my office door. My mum has just given me this hosta in a pot with some kind of trailing weed in it and a strawberry, which is the weirdest combination of plants I've ever seen. So at some point I'm going to try and separate all of that out and do something with it. And then she's also given me this, which is a mystery squash. So I'm going to find somewhere for that to go, which is probably going to be there. It might just go in the middle bed. Back to the tour. I earthed up these potatoes yesterday. They probably now need a water. Those 2 are Maris Piper main crops. They've done nothing yet. The raspberries are looking really good. These raspberries, so one of the things in my garden that I'm kind of at war with are sycamore seedlings. Sycamore seedlings, grass, are the 2 things that I am constantly fighting with. And these pots, both of the pots of, well, no, actually, one more than the other. Let me show you again. This one, much more than this one, has been completely inundated with sycamore seedlings. I feel like I'm pulling sycamore seedlings out of here every day. This one's hardly had any. And then the blueberries, the most exciting thing in the garden ever. Come on, focus. Focus on the joy that is the blueberry. These need such a good feed. I haven't fed any of my pots this year yet. So if you want to be a better gardener than me and claim smugness in the comments by feeding your pots, I welcome you to do so. So this is the garden at the end of May. Nope, the end of April. In my head it's still March. So why I thought it was May then, I don't know. But yeah, I think that is everything I have to show you this time round. So that's the garden in April. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you making it this far, and hopefully the continuity issues weren't too challenging where I had to abandon filming yesterday and then finish this video off today, and that you've seen everything that you want to see. Please let me know what's going on in your gardens this week. Like, certainly in the Northern Hemisphere, the season is really just moving so fast now. It's just moving so fast now. But again, always remember that everything is optional. Nothing has to be done, and only put as much in as you are able to. And I hope you're enjoying yourself. Whatever you're doing, let me know in the comments below. Do all of the things that YouTube likes, like, comment, subscribe. It really does matter. And I really value your time and your effort. See you next time.